This video is the introduction to a project and its analysis. Primarily, we should understand the meaning of this word, and then we can go ahead into the details in the further videos. So the project is actually a composition of two phrases. Let's do the etymology of this word. One is pro and the other is jacked. Pro means something which is ahead of us, and jacked means the way, the route of something. So it's something which is a way ahead of us or forward. So we are clear that project is in future. This is something we can guess from its very interpretation, and the project is about a future objective actually, because if it is something in the future, we have targeted something that we want to achieve. It can be a material objective, or it can be an immaterial objective, intangible objective. For instance, we can wish for more production. This is material production, the material objective, and in the intangible benefits or outcomes or the objectives, we can wish for more literacy. So objectives, they are there, and they can be of variety depending upon the objective's outcome. The outcome can be either tangible or intangible. There are many examples in many countries. For instance, if we talk about Pakistan, there are a number of projects that are being undertaken. For example, motorway project was completed during 90s, and then ring road project is also there, completed about a decade ago. And Pakistan Port Qasim project is there, Kamyab Naujawan Youth Empowerment Program. You can talk about one of the major projects in the history of Pakistan and China, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, which is a mega project and has multiple components. So this is a current example, but not just this current example is signifying a project. It's basically a very old thing. Since the beginning, we can observe that there have been projects. The Mayan pyramids or the Egyptian pyramids, they are all examples of projects. They had various targets in their site that they wanted to achieve, and for that they built pyramids, and they wanted to achieve certain sort of targets. So we can understand that a project is basically revolving around a certain objective. Objective is the main thing in a project. Now, importance of a project. Importance of the project can be felt if we stop doing some projects in an economy. Definitely the economy will not move. It will not grow. The development process will be halted. So we want to grow and develop as a country, and for that the projects should be undertaken, and they are actually a cutting edge of development, as J. Price Gittinger, one of the legendary writers in the domain of project analysis, J. Price Gittinger, he basically gave this idea that projects are the cutting edge of development, and is something which is agreeable very easily. We can observe it all around us. The more projects, the more development. It's not just a one-on-one relationship. Definitely the nature, the quality, and the need of projects can define the outcome, that is the development. But definitely if the projects, they are there, at least they will bring about a little bit of development, humbly speaking, but level of development can be very much desirable up to a good extent, depending upon if the quality of the projects and the need and the planning is done in the right way. So acknowledging the importance of projects, we talk about another relevant term, which is planning. It is concerned with the organization and the utilization of resources. Generally speaking, it is this thing in which we organize and utilize the resources of any organization or any project. It can be at individual level as well. Planning is definitely about the resources and their utilization and organization. Refers to a deliberate action or activity within the confines of the variable available resources and specific time period and space. So we have some parameters, that is, we have certain time and space and certain level of resources that are there, in which there is a deliberate activity or action which is to be undertaken, aimed at realization of preconceived and desirable ends and objectives. We are looking at something that we have already imagined, and these things that we have imagined are desirable, higher literacy, more improved health, reduced unemployment. These are all desirable ends and objectives. So plans, they can be of three uh, classes, that is short-term plan, medium-term plan, and long-term plan. The short-term plan will be, till up to 1 year. The medium-term plan should be up till 5 or 7 years, and a long-term plan should be up till 10 or more years, not more than that. We are talking about these limits. Definitely, the long-term plan can surpass all the limits. It can be, uh, any value greater than 10 years. So these three categories are there. So plans, they are made, and they are made to achieve certain national goals. For example, in the domain of health, we might have a certain plan, and to attain that plan, we undertake various projects. This is project 1, and then there is project 2, and then there is project 3. So there are multiple projects that we can undertake. So these projects should be coherent projects. They should complement each other. If the projects, they are coherent and they are supporting each other, definitely there will be a desirable effect of the overall improvement of the health sector. Same goes for other sectors like education and other sectors. So they should be coherent, and these are like small pieces that can combine, and they can give us a desirable outcome for the overall sector. So this is how projects and plan, they can be linked. They are interconnected, but plans, they are bigger in nature, and projects, they are there to achieve an overall plan. One can use the simile of a brick, and the bricks, they combine and they make a wall. So this is how the whole thing is connected: the walls and the bricks, the plans and the projects. Let's talk about one of the classic definitions of project, which was given by J. Price Kittinger. So there are a few components that we should focus on in this definition. A project is an activity on which certain amount is spent. So that amount should be called as the cost. And in expectation of rewards and benefits, it is spent. So the benefits are something that we are trying to achieve by spending these costs, and which logically seem to held itself for planning. So the planning is done for the, in which we are doing planning. We are planning as well as we are doing the financing, from where the resources will come and how will they be spent. And finally, we are implementing it. And all of it works as a unit, and that becomes a project. So we know already that it is the smallest operational element, prepared and implemented as a separate entity in the national plan or program. As we already understood in the last slide, that overall plan is there, and various projects, they can help us to achieve that plan. So it's the smallest operational part, because a project can help us to achieve a certain objective, and that objective will be a part of the overall national plan or national program. So the simile of brick in a wall can be considered. All these bricks, they combine as projects to achieve the overall wall, that is the national plan. Now, what are various components of a project that we should expect should exist in a project? It has a certain sequence, a well-defined sequence, and these are these activities that are interconnected. one by one they are undertaken and their order cannot be changed, and these are done in investment and the production activities. Definitely, if we are to build a building or a structure in a physical term, we will start with the foundation, we will lay down the foundation, and then we will build the whole building. So in the same way, the project is done just like any other project undertaken by individuals or in private sector, where if they are to build any, for example, bus rapid transit, they will start with the foundation, they will do the survey, they will find the place, and then they will do the engineering stuff of making the all the design and all that information will be gathered, and then it will be constructed. Or any other program in the social sector where the people are to be benefited with some services or some education, some knowledge, some information, then it can be done in a very usual way, in a very natural way, because a project is simply an activity, just like we undertake any other activity. To impart knowledge, to hold workshops for the awareness of COVID-19, we will arrange all those things that are usually arranged for a workshop in private sector or any other place, just like education sector. So see, the project is nothing out of this earth. It is the same thing that we do in our lives or are done by the private sector firms, but it is likely to be at greater level because public sector is devoted to the whole nation, and definitely the beneficiaries of the project would be more, and definitely the scale of the project would be much more greater as compared to the private sector. So the sequence of every kind of project would be as per the nature of the project, no matter it is an infrastructure related project or social sector project, health sector project, etc. Another important component of a project is that it has determinable cost and benefits. By determine we mean that readily quantified and scalable. That is, we can assign certain quantities to them, and then they are, or in other words, or another possibility, they can be put at some scale. For example, from 1 to 5, we can put intangible variables or qualities, satisfaction or dissatisfaction. This can be plotted. So scale can be used in case of intangible situations, whereas in case of physical environment, we can have quantified resources or benefits and costs in this case with respect to nature and relevance. Nature is one side of the cost and benefits, and benefits are the other side in terms of their relevance. When we talk about nature, we mean that are they tangible or not, that is tangible or intangible. When we say relevance, it means that are they directly related to the benefits and costs or indirectly. When they are indirectly related, it means that they are some sort of externality. So the relevance and nature can define the type of cost or benefit we are talking about, but they should be determined either in quantities or scale, so that we could include them and make a guided decision. Another important component is territorial concentration of its activities. We should be clear that what is the jurisdiction in which we will undertake the project and how it will benefit certain group of people. So a project based in New York should be focused for the people of New York, or in a small area of any city, it should be benefiting that certain segment of the population. Because with the project we cannot benefit the whole world or the whole country. Usually it doesn't happen. Sometimes it can happen for a project which is nationwide or worldwide, but usually the projects, they are limited in terms of their jurisdiction, and that is why we are familiar that we want to spread the benefits to a certain set of people. When we say set of people, they are also there. It's just not about geography. It's also about the people that we are targeting. And these people, they are the beneficiaries of the project. They want to, we want them to benefit because we are targeting them. We are not against other people outside this set of people, but these are the people whom we are targeting basically. And then administrative setup is also required because project cannot function on its own. Some people are required to administrate it. There are departments in public sector, there are offices who look after the various projects in every country. Elaborate system of accounts should be there because corruption is a significant thing these days in every part of every country, and in order to mitigate the possibility of corruption and embezzlement, we try to have an elaborate system of the accounts so that accountability could be held. So these are various components that we should expect in a project. And then there must be some benefits of making a document for a project, which is known as the project format. It is a kind of form usually because we want to fill in the information of every project and we want to compare it with other projects, because at times we can have more than one projects that we want to undertake, but we cannot undertake all of them because that will be repetition or wastage of the resources. So we have to choose one of them. In order to get the same objective, there can be multiple options and we have to undertake one of them. They are known as mutually exclusive projects. Exclusive projects, because if we undertake one of them, there is no need to undertake the other. Otherwise, we'll be wasting our resources because that will be repetition and there will be no significant amount of additional benefits of that second project. So the project format helps us to choose the best alternative that we can have, and there are other benefits as well. So let's see those benefits. It's a kind of system in which we can, a certain framework is there for analyzing the information from wide range of sources, because a project can have input not just from economics, it can have input from engineering sciences, from legal side, from the accounting, from statistical point of view, and so on. So without a certain project format, we cannot just include all of these dimensions of information and make a guided decision. If we have a well-defined format and that is used for most of the projects, then it becomes easy to put the kind of information where it fits, and then it becomes easy to compare and make a decision in a more educated way. So this is the benefit of having a project format. Another benefit is that we can get the idea of cost. That cost is something significant for the state. They have their limited budget that they have to spend on various projects, and that should be done in a very meticulously calculated way. So the project format allows us to know the benefits, the costs as well, and in this case we are talking about costs on annual basis, just like annual budget of a government, so that we be able to place the projects in the budget of a country. And it also helps us to know that which one of the participants are going to benefit from the project, which is the segment of the population. Is it some small territory, or a city, or a province, or a state, or the whole country that is benefiting from a certain project? So it's important to know, because a project is actually for the betterment of the people, that is the society. So the participants, they should be considered, that which one of the group or groups of people are benefiting. It enables us to better make the judgment regarding the administrative and organizational problems, because when a project is there, it's a sizable system for which the administration should be savvy and they should be able to make good decisions, and the project format will allow us to provide them with the information, and we will know that which one of the people are uh, making which one of the decisions, and or what sort of activities they are doing, a blue collar job or a white collar job, and what in at what point in time. So all of this and the administration above it should be there documented in the project format, so that a document should be there to help us and understand the whole project in terms of its administration, as well as the organizational issues, what sort of organization is there, and what sort of organizational issues are there that are confronted by the project. And finally, it is the most important thing that conscious and systematic examination is possible if we have a project format. When we have such a detailed document, we are going to be in a better position to make the examination, and that examination would be conscious and it would be systematic. All of these, both of these properties can be there if the project format is followed, and that will allow us to choose the best alternative. That is, all of them will be there, and that most suitable alternative should be chosen. In addition to that, data problem can be reduced, because without data we cannot come up with good decisions. So the data problem cannot be totally eradicated, because there can be some unaddressed benefits or costs that we cannot just identify. We might not be aware that those benefits and costs they are there, but we try our best and try to include all of them as much as possible, I must say, in this certain project format. So once if we have these benefits and costs, all possible relevant benefits and costs, all of the data that we have gathered, then definitely the data problem would not be there, and we would have most of the data of the project, and the decision would be more educated. Now, project format should also have some disadvantages or limitations. So the first one is that can't fathom the future, and that is a reality, because we all know that the future is very much uncertain, and we cannot know if during the project some undesired event might happen. Some earthquake may dismantle the whole structure of the project, um, or some war, some socio-economic issue, some social distress might arise, some political instability, or any calamity. So, or any economic change, some increased unemployment, lack of availability of the inputs in a project. So, there can be a number of unexpected things that can happen in the future. Those unexpected events, we might not know how they are affecting our project. So the project format is just a document, cannot foretell about the future. This is a limitation, and as well as the technological obsolescence is something that happens. It's a reality that during current times, during Moore's law, due to that, quite a bit of uh, you know uh, technological upgradation is happening, and it is amazing to see that how the technology is getting upgraded. So when there is upgradation, definitely there is obsolescence. The older technologies, they are becoming redundant. So whenever a project is being undertaken, during the life of the project, if some technology becomes redundant, definitely it has to be gotten rid of, and we should bring in better technology in order to be competitive and survive in the highly advanced, mechanically and technically advanced era, and in order to be more productive in this project. So what happens is that this thing cannot be understood before time, because project format cannot tell you about the technological upgradation or the new inventions, how and when they will become innovations and become commercially available. We never know how we will be changing them, and when we will be changing those currently in use tools. So that's also a kind of uncertainty that we have to face in a project. At best, we can only do a partial analysis, because we can try to include the effects of it on the economy or the effects of the economy on it, but still it is a limited approach, and we cannot just include all those effects, because there can be many small externalities, both positive and negative, affecting the whole economy. but we might not be able to include all of them, because if we start doing so, this will be very tedious and maybe unending process, due to which we will not be able to take any decision. So we try to limit ourselves to first externality and not beyond that, because if we start following all those externalities, we will be stuck with it. We will be just talking about externalities and will be following them, and this will be a wild goose chase. Therefore, we try to restrict ourselves, and that is why we can only have a partial analysis, not an overall or a perfect analysis. Many times we are unable to incorporate the impact of the externalities, because these are the second effects in the form of pollution, and we might not be able to perfectly include them. Even if we try to include them, their quantification is difficult, because sometimes they are intangible, or the data for them, it is not readily available. So again, this thing remains less addressed or unaddressed in many situations. It is a document, but it's not necessarily compatible with the political decisions, because political lens is different. They look at things in a different way. They have political vested interests, and they might be opposing with the analysis that we have done in the project format. Therefore, there can be a conflict between, or a controversy or disagreement between the project format or the project analysis that we have done and the uh, political decisions that are undertaken. However, the job of a project analyst is simply to analyze it, regardless of it is approved by the politicians or not. He has to do this thing as a duty. So in this way, we have understood that what is a project, and what is its importance and relevance. Then with plans, we started with this um, project, and then we talked about plans and their types, and then we talked about the usual definition of project. Then we saw the components of a project, and then we talked about the advantages of a project format that should be followed, that should be a standard format, and it comes with certain limitations as well, that we also understood. So in this way, we are properly introduced to the project and its analysis. Thank you.